This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy, Camel. And Bitcoin is starting to wake up, right? Bitcoin is giving a masterclass on the reason I say Bitcoin does Bitcoin things. And one of those things Bitcoin does is it just convinces everyone it's dead. It convinces everyone it's never coming back. It convinces everyone it's got to go down to some level, okay? And then it just turns around and melts everyone's faces. And it's only really the people that have this psychopathic conviction and this almost degenerate ability to push the trades until it becomes unreasonable to do so that get to stay on top of this bull, okay? And Bitcoin, remember, is the bull of all bulls. So the big question we've got to deal with today is, did we experience seller exhaustion? Did we get to the point where we've seen a half cycle low inversion? Are we just about to rip all the way to new all-time highs now for Bitcoin? Or is this big green candle ultimately going to bounce off resistance one final time? Is it going to roll over again? And is it going to continue to make everyone come out of the woodwork and say, no way is this thing ever going up again? So of course, we're going to address this. I just want to kind of recap a few things because the reality is, if you're here, okay, you're one of the few. We know, because I've been showing it for the past couple of weeks, retail has quit. It completely tapped out. It left, it packed its bags, and it's just completely checked out, right? There's no retail left here. I was showing things like Ben Cohen's social media metrics. That shows as well that the viewership and the participation from retail at the moment is at bear market lows. So who is left to benefit from this, right? Only the people that have diehard conviction, and the majority of the people that are going to benefit from this are actually, and this is kind of sad in a way, institutions, right? It's the big boys who most probably, depending on how tight your tinfoil hat is at this current moment in time, did this all by design, right? They forced everyone into altcoins. The altcoins all made new lows. Everyone quit. And the whole time, they've been quietly accumulating a fat stack of Bitcoin, ready to blow this thing off in the final insano berserko part of the cycle. So let's dig into today's episode. For those of you that wanted a gold DCA portfolio thing, this is almost set up and completed. And what's kind of interesting about this is it's quite likely that by the time we actually start DCAing into gold, we are going to absolutely top tick this thing. Now, that's totally fine with me because it will just show a couple of things. It will show, one, the power of a DCA. Okay, so long as you're consistent, then we will be able to bring that average down even if we start at the absolute ultimate top. And number two, it will also show you the power of the indicator, again, proving that even if you buy the absolute top, it's not going to make a difference. You're still going to be able to vastly outperform that. So I know a lot of you are really excited to see this. It is being built out. It's almost ready to go live. We're simply waiting for some tradable cycle lows to get hold of. We're simply waiting for the indicator to start picking more lows, and then we will see which one of these performs the best. Spoiler alert, it's going to be the indicator, and it's going to be the indicator by a long way. Now, the other thing I wanted to suggest is, if you want to take part in this community, consider joining at least a level 1 membership tier. The reason I say this is because it used to be a daily job. It always has been on my channel. And if you look at the channel, there tends to be very few bot attacks, right? There's a reason for that. Every single day, I have to find the keywords and go in and block them. This tends to keep the bots out of the comment section, and it tends to allow a community to actually be built where people can actually interact with each other. But they have now evolved, the bots I mean, they have now evolved to the point where they are not even spamming the same keywords anymore. Okay, this is what we're looking at. Pause your screen, take a good look at this. How am I supposed to deal with this, right? So as ever, we filter comments by members. If you do want to take part, then consider becoming a member, because I really don't know how to get around this. If anyone has a suggestion for how to get around this, please let me know, because I really don't want my comment section to look like every other YouTuber's out there. Is there a more pertinent sentence at the moment? The best investors in the world are really good at doing nothing for long periods of time. I kept saying literally hundreds of people had told me that this idea was wrong and it's another one of these bad ideas. But remember, it's not only possible, it's the most likely outcome, because we still have yet to confirm a weekly cycle low. By the way, if we continue this upside green price action into the end of this week, then we will have confirmed it. These people have no patience, right? At least give it a few weeks to see if it plays out. And as we've seen, very few people were able to do that, right? Retail has completely quit, completely left, tapped out, as I said earlier. Yes, this took a little bit longer than expected. Yes, we went slightly deeper than expected. But if we shunt this yellow squiggle over and it unfolds like this, does anyone really care, right? Only the people that tapped out and have to FOMO back in higher now do. So again, the best investors are the ones that are good at doing absolutely nothing for long periods of time. Now, I left myself this insane fractal, which is the 2017 overlay over Bitcoin. I wanted to check back in on this. This was in February, and see how far we've deviated to the downside and see if it even seems reasonable that something like this could be coming next for Bitcoin. So here it is. It's been a while since we checked in on it. Looks an awful lot like a deviation here, doesn't it? But believe it or not, I still don't think we can truly discount this. And if you want to, by all means do, right? If you want to say, no way, I'm shorting it, I'm selling my whole stack, by all means, you do you. But the gap of deviation, right, at the moment doesn't seem so enormous that we haven't seen that type of, let's try this again. We haven't seen this type of extension before. We haven't seen this type of gap before, right? So I don't think we can truly say this is impossible at this point. And even if it only comes up to the underside here, okay, at some point by the end of the year, that's still going to be 200 plus K a Bitcoin. That is fine with me. I don't know how greedy some people are in this space, okay, but 200K plus Bitcoin, I'm going to be ultra happy with that. And it would represent something akin to a 15x for Bitcoin this cycle. I mean, I think that's pretty good, to be honest. So without a total Fed pivot, a return to outright QE and Fed balance sheet expansion, which of course you know, especially if you've been following the work, I don't expect that anytime this year at all. I think that's going to come mid to late next year. Without that, it seems insane and impossible that we would reach $1 million. But I certainly think that we could catch this fractal back up. I would not at all be surprised if the ultimate price action looks something akin to this. That is totally consistent with this, right? The shunted over squiggle, we pop up to 150K, have some kind of shakeout, pop up again. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if, since this cycle has taken longer, this next portion of the cycle takes longer, which would put us something akin to perhaps this big kind of overextended move, and then that marks the ultimate top. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it runs. But notice again, to your eyeball, this is just an uptrend, right? And it still gets us to around 220K in this arbitrary squiggle example. Also, the writing was there on the wall, okay? There was a weekly cycle low picked back here. And I was saying it's really interesting that it's chosen to negate the deviated lows back here. I thought that was extremely interesting because this indicator is trained to pick the lowest low swings. But for some reason, it knew that wasn't the lowest low. It knew this was a deviation, and off we're going so far. So very, very interested to see that. And again, if these lines just do their job, then the following is something to consider, okay? We just have some parallel lines that go up that still gives us that target up in the 236K region. And remember, no one believes it, right? It's very few people that think this is possible right now. And even if we just get to this kind of median line in the middle, that's still almost 180K by the end of the year. In fact, it is 180K by the end of the year. So never say never. And again, more ways to illustrate that retail has completely left and many have prematurely called the top, according to at least me, with the pain trade being higher, is notice when you post a upside bullish chart saying 100K, here we come. It gets only 35K impressions, 300 likes, okay? And what happens when we say 65K comes next? Because every man and his dog is waiting to buy these logical levels lower down. What do we get? We get 3 times the impressions, twice the likes, 3 times the retweet, and over double the comments. Again, I maintain the writing has been on the wall for some time. So the big question, of course, is it time to get excited? Is it time to start aping in here? Is it time to get some longs on? It could well be that this is a half cycle low inversion. They are indicative of seller exhaustion. Given how much retail has quit, it kind of makes sense that people are exhausted. It would make sense that there are no more sellers left, and thus the path of least resistance is higher. It also makes sense that we've got a true breakout, retest, and resumption by the look of it relative to this downward sloping red resistance line. It could well be that that's the bottom. Absolutely, it could well be that that's the bottom. This is an inversion, and we'll have to go back and label this as a half cycle inversion and a weekly cycle low about to confirm. But I do think it's important to point at these wicks back here, okay? This is not the first time I've been pointing at these. I've been pointing at these over and over and over again and saying that until we get through there, then there's actually no change in behavior. There's no change in market structure. All of these are lower highs the whole way down, okay? And so far, even though it's extremely close, this is still a lower high. Even if we deviate above slightly, okay, and then reverse, yes, that would technically be a higher high on a wick, but without a close, we can't really say it's a change in behavior or market structure. It would just be akin to running the lick from up here and then moving back down again. So it's extremely close, right? All it's going to take is a daily close above these wicks here, and we will have a true confirmed change in behavior, a true higher high close, a true change in market structure. Then we can start to look for pullbacks to buy. Maybe it would look something like this. Cycle low is much higher up, okay? And then we go. Okay, so ultimately, it doesn't change much. Instead of getting long from down here, okay, we just get long from slightly higher up. Not a big deal for me personally. As ever, it's about the timing I care about, not the actual levels. But if we do not get some daily closes above, if we don't get a change in behavior and a change in market structure, then despite how bullish this breakout looks, it's late in the cycles, and the cycles are still down. So watch out for any kind of daily close above here. Watch out for rejection as well. If we get rejection, then something like this makes a lot more sense. And then ultimately, the plan is totally unchanged, right? Despite this kind of bullish looking breakout, despite the fact that this is probably all going to be a trap, ultimately what we've been saying over and over and over again is we're going to get down into this cycle low. It will be higher than this one on a balance of probabilities because there's too many people crowded down here waiting to buy the dip. And then, again, the plan will be totally unchanged. We've been saying the same thing. So the only thing I'm really looking to adjust here is if somehow we close above these prior wicks, if we get that change in market structure, then all we do is play the same strategy from slightly higher up, right? That's it. Other than that, no real changes at all. I know people will be really tempted to say, well, how do we know that's an inversion? How can we look out for it? What if that's an inversion? Inversions are extremely rare. I don't tend to worry too much about them. Now, if this is an inversion, it will literally look like this. Okay. And so it's just a case of by the time we get up to here, we'll be able to say, yep, that's absolutely an inversion. And then you can either look to buy dips on the way up, you can either chase the thing higher, or if this is what we get and it is a true cycle inversion and we are just going to come absolutely screaming higher out of here with no pullbacks along the way, well, I'll just let this trade go. Now, from spot, totally positioned, right? So the whole game plan, as the level 3 members know for me, is to get one final squeeze and start to unwind the spot at what I believe will be the ultimate top. If this also occurs, people will be like, well, yeah, you missed the Bitcoin trade. Yeah, true. But I'll just play it via the crypto-related equities, right, which will probably do a lot better since they're a lot more oversold. For example, take a look at Riot, okay, all the way back down towards the lows. And this is a massive 60% decline from this peak here. It's already given back 70%. So for Bitcoin to go from where it is to 150k is about a 100% return. But this thing only needs to pop back up to about 12, right, to get that same 100% return. If it can pop up from here just back to that prior peak from in this kind of neighborhood, it's going to outperform Bitcoin by 2x. So these are the kind of things I'll be looking for. And although it's not really expected, it's not really the base case, there is an outside chance something like that is coming for these crypto-related equities. Because again, everyone's quit right as they're down towards the range lows. So if something like this is coming, then, you know, this is where I want to put my focus. So I'm not really missing out. Yes, I'll miss out on a paper-traded Bitcoin in the spread betting account for sure. But that's fine with me, okay? Because we'll find the extra beta in the members section and we'll get hold of some of these positions. We're also positioned via things like MicroStrategy already. So if this is going to rip, happy days, right? We're already in there. And we added a whole heap of other positions like HUT, like GME as well. This has already been added. You know, if they're going to buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin's going to rip, that's going to rip as well. So, I mean, we're more than covered, right? We've done a pretty good job on this channel of spreading out over as many different things as possible and being positioned to profit no matter which way the market goes. Even gold, right? This blow off top, whilst I'm not positioned via the paper markets or the futures or the spread betting account here, you know, we got a whole heap of these junior miners and senior miners, and they're just going absolutely vertical. We've also got the SILJ position open as well in the trading account. So, I mean, we're more than covered here. And the only other thing I want to point out is for a long time, I've been talking about how it doesn't really make sense to say that the stock market's going to put in a lower high, okay, something like this, and Bitcoin's going to rip to new highs. Historically, you wouldn't really be smart to suggest something like that. But I keep saying, crazier things have happened. Okay, and what are we seeing right now? Whilst Bitcoin is apparently breaking out, okay, whilst these crypto stocks are looking to start to gap up at open, the US stock futures are down over 1% today. Okay, now this makes total sense if you think about it, if you've been following the work, because we know the cycles are down, right? We know we're contained underneath resistance. We know, because I've been saying it over and over and over again, that we should probably expect a lower low here into the cycle low, then a breakout, then a lower high, then a rollover, right? This is the base case for the stock market. And to all the people that said it's absolutely impossible that this could happen whilst Bitcoin rips to new highs, well, we're already seeing this, right? We're literally seeing this now. The stock market is heading to a cycle low, and Bitcoin is saying, I'm thinking about inverting. So really think about what I just said, okay? We don't know yet. Let's be absolutely clear about this. I think you would be foolish to be at all excited at any kind of action that occurs below these wicks from back here, which currently sit at about 88.5, okay? I think anything that takes place below about 90k, it is amateur, right? It's amateur to be excited below 90k, but start to close daily candles above 90k, and then I think we can start to say, okay, right, time to see what this market's got, time to ride this final insane leg to the upside, and all perhaps in the face of a stock market that is going to do something like this. So if you're a level 3 member, stay tuned. There's probably going to be some trading opportunities in the not too distant future. Of course, I'll notify you when I start to add some things, if I can find some high probability and high quality setups. if you're a level 3 member as well, I would imagine that you'll get some updated videos in the midweek or something like that. So again, stay tuned for that. For everyone else, hit the subscribe button, okay? Watch us do this in real time. And until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.
Camel finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel